friends, good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in, thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. For saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Hello there, my lovely friends. Good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. Beach Bum, hey, good to see you in here. 857 Bright Wheel. Thanks for dropping in. Salty, good to have you up here with me.
Hello, how are you?
Let me get my headphones put on here so we don't get some kind of a reverb thing. I have been discombobulated all day and I'm still discombobulated.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't sleep hardly at all last night. I think I got an hour and a half worth of sleep because I have other work that I got to do. So I was half the night doing that other work, but I was also had this on my mind because I really wanted to do a live in front of the courthouse afterwards. And I just had technical difficulties out the wazoo, as you all could tell. But
yeah, it was okay. You kept dropping out as you were walking, so
yeah. Oh, I wasn't walking. Actually, I was sitting in one spot.
Were you? I couldn't figure it out. I was like, is he walking around? Is that what's happening? You know? So I was like, be still, Joe, just stand still.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like Delphi. I mean, we're in downtown Phoenix, so we have excellent cell signal there. If you could see over my shoulder, Lauren from Hidden True Crime went live afterwards in front of it, and she didn't have any problems. She's a little more experienced than I am, though, so I'm sure.
Was she on her phone, though, doing it?
Yes, she was.
It might be time for you to upgrade your phone, Joe.
I think you're right. T-Mobile had a deal I saw like a couple weeks ago where you get a quote-unquote free iPhone 16 through 24 statement credits. I'm always leery of those deals.
You get well, I have T-Mobile. I've had them for years. So my kid has the iPhone 15. Oh, no, he's got the 14. He's about to get the 16 because we're both ready for upgrades. But I got the Samsung S24. I can get the 25. But either one, you can't go wrong. I'm just not an iPhone person, but my kids are. But yeah, so it makes a difference.
Yeah. I think it's probably the phone, because after I tried to get into StreamYard on my account and go live on my StreamYard, I just gave up on it. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go live on Salty's Restream. And that kept crashing. That crashed. The second time it crashed, I'm like, I'll go live later.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you made it back safely and you weren't sucked down some portal.
Yeah. Well, I didn't look deep into Lori's eyes, so I stayed in the here and now.
That's probably a good thing. Difficult says just go live from YouTube when you're on mobile versus going through StreamYard to do it. I get that. Yeah, I've not done a live from my phone, so I don't know, but I've heard the same thing, Krisha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I tried it in, Kresha, welcome in. Good to see you in here. Rebecca Ann. Who else haven't I said hi to you? 857 Forrest. Hey, good to see you in here, bud. Appreciate having a mod in here, keeping all these crazy people in check.
I'm saying we got such a crazy group. What are we going to do with them? They know I'm joking. They are an awesome group. They are an awesome group.
They are intelligent on many levels and respectful, and it's hard to ask for more than that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were watching the hearing earlier on my channel, and so we saw you in chat, and everybody got excited because we knew then you were there and everything was good to go. So they had a delayed feed, though. Do you know what I mean? For when it actually went live on YouTube, because when you had called me, you said it was over, but I'm like, we're watching it live, but no, we were on the delay. So.
Oh, so how much was it? Like, how much longer was it after I told you that? Was it like on a 10-minute delay, maybe?
No, probably a good 20 more minutes of it went on, if that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, because we went back to reviewing it, and we finished reviewing it before we ended the live.
Well, as we discussed before, that was a source of discussion. That was actually the first source of discussion in the hearing today.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second, because this is a story. This isn't just dropping my notes and being all scientific. I got a story to tell.
Uh-oh.
When you look at my notes, you're going to notice that my handwriting is particularly bad. And when I get anxiety, my hands start to shake. And I know my blood pressure was probably through the roof today. So I almost couldn't even... Well,
let me ask you this. Was there another factor causing all that, or was it being at the hearing that caused that?
Well, I had a little bit of that going on, but there was another factor involved. So my son has been driving my car back and forth to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need it today, so you need to take the family car to work and let me have my car today, because I was going, but Trace on the case also went with me. We carpooled today. And I go to get in the car, so I have it all planned out. I plan things out meticulously because I hate to be late, because my mom was always late to everything. So I have to be on time or early. And for this, I was like, the popularity of this, case, I'm like, we should be there, plenty early. So Trace and I discussed being there at like 7:35, 7:40. So I went backwards. Okay, it's so many minutes from her house to there, and it's so many minutes from my house to her house. Had it meticulously planned out, and then I go to get in the car, and it is I won't say trashed, but it took me a good 10 minutes to clean it up so it was even passable for me to have people in the car with me.
Put you 10 minutes behind schedule.
Yes, and then I go to start it up, and the gas tank is almost on E.
And why does that not surprise me, Dad?
And it's funny because I texted Trace the night before, and I'm like, okay, I'm planning on be there, but I'll bet you dollars to donuts that the car is trashed and it's out of gas.
So yesterday evening, before it got dark, whatever time it gets dark there in Arizona, you didn't go out and check the car and make sure.
No, I had other business that I had to attend.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm trying to help save your anxiety, man.
I do have to accept some responsibility. Firefly, welcome into chat. Good to see you here. Yeah, I do accept some responsibility. I will. I'll put some of that on me. So yeah, that definitely added to my anxiety. However, the traffic was the best traffic that I've ever experienced going to downtown Phoenix, and we made up time. Yeah. And Trace also agreed to meet me a little closer to the interstate, so I didn't have to go quite so far off the interstate. So that saved some time too. So we made up all that time, and I actually dropped her off in front of the courthouse like around 7:32. So plenty of time.
Well, look, all that stress for no reason, right?
Yes, but it was there in my body already. That anxiety was already there.
Somebody
So
suggested earlier we were talking about some of this stuff related to Lori, and healing crystals was brought up, and they're like, maybe I should do a members only live and bring the Zen, but I think maybe I should for Joe's sake. Teasing. I gotta
I
help
need
him get.
something.
I gotta help him learn some tools to help with that anxiety. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So get to the courthouse early. We're the first ones there. We get upstairs and sit in front of the door, and I'm still a little bit nervous about whether or not they've moved the courtroom. But after today, I won't be anymore, because if they're expecting a whole bunch of people, maybe they've moved it to one of the bigger courtrooms, because this one is tiny. The gallery is way smaller than Delphi's gallery by a huge margin, by like a factor of 2 probably. So, but we sat down in front of it, and the court assistant, and I don't think he's the court reporter, because he didn't look like a court reporter. I mean, court reporters are like 99% female, right?
Well, most of the time, but
yeah, but that doesn't mean he wasn't.
Could it have been the clerk of court for the court?
It could have been. It could have been. But he was going in and out of that door, and the agenda for the day wasn't posted next to the door yet. So we were just a little bit nervous. Are we in the right place? But he said, he came out the last time and he goes, "Are you guys here for Lori Daybell?" And we were like, "Yes." He goes, "Okay, I'll let you in a few minutes." He let us in early, actually. And as soon as we got in, then we sat where we sat at the last hearing, which was right behind the defense table. And then Nate Eden and Justin Lum come in and sit to the right of us behind the prosecutor's table in the front row. And then that guy that let us in early comes over and he goes, "Just so you guys know, proper court procedure is if you are here in support of the defense, then you sit behind the defense table. If you are here in support of the prosecutor, then you sit on the right side behind the prosecutor table."
That's going to be a heavy-handed courtroom, isn't it?
And it was. But eventually the other side filled up too, but they probably filled up with people who didn't know that that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, and what are you going to do when the majority is there in support of the prosecution? You're going to say, "Oh, y'all can't come in. We're out of room, and all these empty seats over here." No, that's like spillover at that point.
Well, that was my first reaction, was like, I'm good where I'm at. Like, and I looked over at Nate and Justin, and I was like, I'm not pulling for Lori in this at all. I'm not supporting the defense, but I'm not sure that I want to move. And Nate kind of shook his head. "Yeah, that seems like a reasonable decision." But then Trace and I talked, and we decided to go ahead and move back in the second row behind Justin and Nate. And then Lauren from Hidden True Crime comes in and sits down next to Nate and her producer. And I forgot her name. Oh my gosh.
She didn't sit next to you, Joe Schmoe.
Well, she didn't recognize me from Delphi. And her producer later told her. So we talked after the hearing, and her producer, pulled her off to the side, and she goes, like, "That's the guy you gave a copyright strike to." And we'll talk about that more later. That more later.
You got to call me on the phone to talk about that one. I want to hear.
No, I'll discuss it fully here.
I'm saying, don't you sugarcoat that shit for me, Joe Schmoe, because I know. I got to remember I'm on your channel. Guys, I made a delicious cup of coffee. Joe, you got to try that strawberry or chocolate covered strawberry creamer I was telling you about.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
And then I had got some Italian sweet cream cold foam. So
yeah,
I got both of them in my hot coffee. And oh my God, guys, it's a beautiful day in Florida. And I'm enjoying every damn minute of it. It feels so good outside.
Yeah, Kresha, I can relate to that. Like, when you see my handwriting lady later, you're going to be like, "Were you smoking something? Are you having an epileptic seizure?" But my hand tremors were extraordinary today. I couldn't even eat lunch.
Difficult research. I love your last comment there. Oh, on my end, it looks like your last comment. Lauren mentioned yours and Tracy's name in her live stream earlier. Oh, wow. I'm shocked. Kresha, you got to link me, girl. I need to see that. Was it on Lauren's live? I'll go check it out. I want to hear her
Yeah,
shout out. I want to hear her shout out to you, Joe Schmoe. I might
she
make a
did. She
video.
did. She did. And she came over to us after she was done because we
Okay.
were sitting there right next to where she was going live in front of the courthouse. And she said, "Hey, I just gave you guys a shout out." So I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah, difficult research. I get it. I am diagnosed with chronic anxiety and PTSD, so I get it. But that for me, it's more. It wouldn't going out and just doing regular people stuff in public stresses me out way more than that would probably. But I don't go many places, so try not to anyway.
Yeah,
Stresses me out.
I'm probably going to have to go across multiple platforms to pick up more viewers. Like I have the option right now in StreamYard to add X. I haven't had the courage to try it yet. I
Oh,
probably
like to
should.
stream on Twitter at the same time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Well, if everyone would just start hitting the like button and keeping the comments going, it helps get you into the algorithm. It pushes, then YouTube will automatically start pushing you out there. Use your hashtags. Not many people, unfortunately, are covering the Lori Vallow case right now, Daybell. There are some, but not there, and there are a few that are covering the hearings. But as far as coverage, like you're doing, and Kresha is doing, Megan's been doing, the stuff that I was doing today, getting it out there to the algorithm is such a big deal. So maybe, guys, hit the like button on your way in, make all the things. It really helps, and we appreciate it. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's not a lot of people covering the case. Do you know what I mean? Not
Well,
like
that was mentioned on
other.
Court. It was mentioned on Court TV's morning show this morning. Whatever her
Well,
coffee and
they're
thing is.
covering it, but that's their Court TV. They're going to cover it. It's Lori Vallow, right? They should cover it. But as far as like YouTube coverage, I'm talking about streamers covering it. There's only a few, and they're only touching on the like the stuff that's popping off in the moment. You know what I mean? Because I don't get
Yeah.
my coverage off mainstream media. If it's on YouTube, and Court TV is, I watch them on YouTube. I rarely watch them on the actual TV.
Yeah, but I agree. 10 people watching is now we're up to 13 is a little. It's
But
not
is that your
discouraging because I don't do what I do for the clicks and the likes and the
and that may
views.
not be your real time numbers. You got to remember, because the minute I end a stream, it may tell me I've got 22 people in there, but the minute I go to my StreamYard or to my YouTube studio and look, I had over 100 views. So I'm like, what's going on with this real time count here? So I don't even try to think about it while I'm streaming. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But everybody like
You're
and
right.
share.
You're right. I
Like
got to
and
ignore
share.
that number. Yep. I got
Yep.
to ignore that number.
Yeah, because if you try to let that, that'll get in your head, then you'll wonder why. And it's just because some people can only follow one case at a time too. They're so, I don't know, we don't have enough room in their, in their files, too many tabs open. I don't get it, but it is what it is.
Right. Right. So continuing the narrative part of this before we get to the notes. So we moved behind Nate and Justin, and Lauren came in right after that, and other people started to fill in the other seats, and most people did go over to the right side behind the prosecutor's table, and the left side filled up a lot slower, but it did almost fill up. But eventually we'll get to talking about that, and I'm sure if you guys watched it earlier today, you saw that Judge Beresky said, okay, we'll have jury selection over in the tower, in the South Tower, where the courtrooms are bigger. He goes, but we can't have the trial there. We have to have the trial right here in room 1104. So that's the 11th floor of the main building, of the main courthouse building. And Lauren did her count. She thought she came up with 36 seats in there. I did my own count. I thought I came up with like 27, 28. Which is not nearly enough for once the trial starts. This is going to be huge. So you have the media taking up the whole front row, and a few seats behind us, Nate and Justin and a couple of others. Plus, you have the Fox 10 camera off to the left. I hope he wasn't zooming in on the defense table today, because Lori actually brought that up.
Oh yeah, and it's a big deal because it was a big deal in the Idaho case. That's what with CourtTV, their thing is they got warned in Idaho not to be zooming in on the defendant. They turned right around the second hearing, the next hearing that came up after that, they zoomed in on the damn defendant. And we're like, what are you doing, CourtTV? Don't get us banned from the damn trial. You know, it's not fair. So, and they were zooming in on the defense table. And when they do that, they can see work product. Their laptops are open. Their files are laying right there. So there was that one couple of points from a defense standpoint that Lori did have right. Okay, I had to look at her as a lawyer at that point, and not Lori Vallow. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and I thought she did score a couple of wins today, and I tried to talk about that earlier. I don't know how well I brought it off. I'll talk about it again on here. But what was the vibe in the courtroom? It was pretty relaxed. It was a bunch of people trying to keep up with the back and forth because a lot went on, and I don't know how long it lasted. Oh, Trial TV, you're in here. Hey. Yeah, Court TV aired it, and I'm sure it's going to be somewhere out there for me to watch it from the camera angle to see what you guys saw. I'm trying to bring you a little bit of what you didn't see today, but I've also got my notes. And by the way, welcome in Trial TV Live. Good to see you in here. So it was a lot of just trying to scrambling to keep up with a back and forth between the judge and the defense counsel and defendant and the state. State didn't have a whole lot to say about a whole lot, except for a couple of times they did. But Nate was in front of me, and if I had wanted to, I could snoop in on what he was posting on X, but it's going to be on X, so it's not really snooping, right? But he's on his laptop, and he's just typing away furiously and hitting send, and typing away furiously and hitting send. And I got to wonder how long that thread was on X for East Idaho News that Nate was putting out there, like live real time. So I may take my laptop.
Think about how it was in Delphi. They did the same thing. You know, they live tweeted, or they couldn't live tweet from the courtroom in Delphi, but that's how those threads were coming out too. And so
right, but you couldn't have any electronics in the courtroom at all. So you couldn't do what Nate was doing today, which is have his laptop out and literally typing live what's going on.
But that happens in the Idaho case as well with like Kevin Fixler. He covers the Idaho case. Nate does more of the Vallow. But that's what they do, man, when they let media in and they don't restrict devices, they're live tweeting from the courtroom. Like, I didn't even check Twitter today because we were watching the court live, you know, the hearing live. So I wasn't even checking the Twitter feed.
Speaking of electronic devices, we were getting up to change seats from the left side to the right side. And I think they should have signs like bride and groom, should be defense and prosecution. But I mean, is it a thing? Because when I turned to Tracy and I said, I'm good where we're at, he was sitting down, you know, at his desk, like 15 feet away, and he heard me say it. And he gave me a little bit of side eye when I said that. And I was like, well, maybe we ought to move. Just be respectful, because we're going to have to deal with this guy a lot, you know, over the next 6 weeks. Well, starting the end of the month, April.
Yeah.
But there was a the judge goes, oh no, it was him. He said it. The guy that was sitting there on the left, and I'm sure he appears on the camera at times. He had like a beard, you know, looked like maybe late 30s, 40ish, and I'm a horrible judge of age, so y'all are going to make fun of me for that. He goes, hey, there's no taking pictures in here. And all of us, Nate and Justin and me and Tracy, look at him like all wide-eyed and go, wasn't us. And then he goes, I saw a flash from the back of the room, and there was a gal sitting back there. And she goes, oh, it was me. I didn't mean to. Right, lady, right. I think she was taking pictures and she just forgot to turn off her flash. That's
No special glasses.
right.
No Google glasses. Or what were they? Damn, I forgot what they were called.
Yeah, I think they were actually Google glasses or something like that. Yeah.
Where's True Grit when we need her?
Oh, so then Lori comes in like right on time, like right at 8. Well, yeah, right at 8:30, and she takes a seat. But on her way to the seat, so she comes in the left side of the courtroom is where the deputy brings her in, and there are two dudes sitting in the front row on her side at that time that weren't there till almost right before the hearing. There's a dude that's closest to the aisle that's got a ponytail in the back. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's another guy that's older, probably about my age, 50s, mid 50s. And she stops and smiles at him and says something to him, and he says something back before she goes and sits down. She's in her orange jumpsuit. She's in handcuffs. You all saw that probably, so I don't need to describe it in that great a detail, but I wonder if that's like her LDS bishop, because she does have her bishop on her witness list. So he was kind of a bishopy looking guy, maybe. But she had a big bright smile for him, but she has a big bright smile for a lot of people. So,
yeah,
not for me. She hasn't given me one yet. I'm still waiting.
We know we're waiting. She got all dolled up for Joe Schmoe this morning. She's like, he's going to be there again. She's going to be emailing you soon, like, you want to interview?
She's going to be like,
you better say yes.
Well, she's going to be like, you can't actually say anything in this interview. You're just going to give me the limelight.
Be like, fine, we'll just let you talk. We'll just give you the floor, Lori, and you can just ramble for hours if you want to. And then I'm sure they can all be used against you later. The ramblings of Lori.
I couldn't figure out the right app to show. Oh, that's too much. Let's find a happy. Whoa!
What are you doing, Joe Schmoe? Okay. Hey,
I think
your handwriting is better than my note taking, or when I was, yeah. My actual handwriting.
Is that about the right zoom level there?
No, go a little bit more.
All right, hold on.
Well, I'm on my phone, so maybe I should zoom in. And everybody, ignore me. I'm good. Everybody else, y'all let him know.
We can go to like half a page.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on the phone. Everybody, on if you're on PC or whatever, let Joe know if you can see it. Okay.
Oh, hold on.
I can see it, Joe. I just have to zoom in on the phone. That's all.
That's good. Where, Forrest?
Hey, I recognize that notepad from the Delphi trial.
Right? That is, and actually, it still has some of my Delphi notes in it too.
Oh, imagine.
Let's see. Jeff's in here now. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you in here. Yes, the ponytail was braided. Trial TV. Yes, the ponytail was braided. And I didn't see it at first when he came in, but we were all talking amongst ourselves.
I bet CourtTV. I bet CourtTV. Sorry, Trial TV. I'm so sorry. I bet you know who that was, huh?
Well, we do now after he stood up and talked.
Oh, so I missed something.
So 8:31, Lori comes in, handcuffs, orange jumpsuit. She smiles at a man in the gallery and says something briefly. All rise. We rise. As soon as the judge comes in, you may be seated. And then this guy's name is Matthew something or other from CourtTV.
Oh, okay.
He is the representative of CourtTV, and
he was the one that got up there and spoke for them. Yes. Okay, yes. Yeah, I remember now. I forgot he did have a ponytail, didn't he? That was the same guy, right? Yeah.
Yes, braided ponytail. And he just walked right into the court area, like from the gallery. Like there are very strict rules about when you can go from being in the gallery to actually entering the court area on the other side of that barrier. And my thought was either this guy is bold or he is some kind of an attorney representing CourtTV. And I lean towards the second one, but I don't know.
Oh, he would have to be their attorney. There's usually an attorney that represents the media coalition people.
Right.
And so that is exactly who that was then, because otherwise he wouldn't be up there speaking. You don't just send a spokesperson out for that. You send your legal team to argue your arguments. So that was definitely an attorney for them. Matt Riley, they're saying in chat, Matt Riley.
Okay, that makes sense. It happened so fast. So he introduced himself and he already went right into his arguments, and I'm taking notes and I'm trying to keep up. And the very first thing that goes out of my mind is their name. Like you'll see my Delphi notes, I'll have their first name and I'll have a blank for the last name, or I'll hear their name wrong and spell it wrong, which I probably did with that, the new expert witness. He says CourtTV would like to be the pool cam. And the judge says, well, I am inclined to grant one camera in the courtroom. CourtTV says, well, we'd like to have multiple cameras. We'll have the pool cam and we'll distribute and feed the other, but we would like to have like 2 or 3 other cameras in the courtroom as well. So that seems a little bit selfish to me. If the judge just said, I'm inclined to grant one camera in there, they're like, oh, we want multiple ones.
Yeah, they got their little fancy cameras that are easy to operate remotely and all the things, but we can still run with a fixed camera. Don't get too greedy. Thank you, Charles TV. You listened to one of our streams and it was a great stream. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, they'll, as soon as they were zooming in on Lori's damn Crocs and her ankle bracelets, I mean, we know they're there. You can show them, but you have to zoom in. Like they were just talking about zooming in and they started zooming in on her shoes. I was like, damn it, man, here we go again with the court. They can't get off their zoom lens for some reason.
So there's a blank in that line before we get to Lori's response. And the blank in there that I forgot to write down the notes and I was going to go back and make them is in my head right now. So I probably should go in there and fill in the blank before my brain becomes blank about that. The judge says we're going to need like a 1 to 2 second delay or something like that, which doesn't make sense to me. 1 or 2 seconds doesn't do crap for you. Like if there's some witness's name or a victim's name that shouldn't be aired, or there's a juror that actually accidentally gets shown on camera, I would think you would need at least a 10-second delay. Like, and I think the standard in the old days of radio was like a 7-second delay.
Yeah.
So there was some censor over there who, if they heard a bad word on the radio, would go brr. So it's got to be a minimum of 7 seconds, a minimum.
Bleeping out.
Yes, exactly.
Remember that? That used to be such a thing, didn't it? When we were growing up. Beep.
Well, I used to listen to Bob and Tom on the radio back before they were syndicate, and that bleep thing happened a lot.
The bleeping was almost worse than the actual words. It was like, we know that was bad.
Right. Our imaginations just ran wild.
Exactly. Especially if we were young. We're like, oh, we know what that means.
Trace, good to see you in here.
Yeah, welcome in, Trace.
Morning, didn't we?
You fell asleep. You probably needed that nap. You probably needed it. Today's the first day I'm not napping. Like that says something for me, guys. I'm like, but I've been hyped up on coffee all day. I've wanted coffee like all day. So that's what I'm doing.
Now we're all hyped up on Lori Daybell. So
man.
The judge says, State, do you have any response to that? State says, no, we got nothing to say. Lori, and he says, so he goes, defense, do you have something to say about Lori? He says, she cites a Shepard versus something SCOTUS case, and then she cites an Arizona case. And I'm sure you guys that were paying more attention on CourtTV, or we can go back in CourtTV and figure out what Arizona case. So she's actually doing some legal research. And the judge says, I'll grant one pool camera for trial. But Not for jury selection. Oh, okay. The delay thing was after that. Okay. Court TV, 1 minute delay? Well, I was writing real time, so I was thinking in my head second, but maybe it is a 1 or 2 minute delay. That's enough to catch things.
Yeah, usually that's that.
Yeah.
Good Lord, helicopter flying over from the military. Wonder what's going down. Well, they got a big long thing hanging off that helicopter. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by the military helicopter. Hold on. Live around helicopter fields for the military. They come by every now and then.
So in the courtroom, the way the cameras get hooked up is there's a little jack on the right side that you can hook the audio up to, so your camera is broadcasting the actual courtroom audio. So there's an audio jack on the side that you hook up your camera to, but most of those people also have an audio boom. So the last hearing we went to, the judge came out and he's like, "Hey, is it your audio boom that's picking up the audio that you're broadcasting, or is it the court audio that you have, plugged in your camera to the audio jack?" And the dude's like, "No, it's the audio jack. It's the court audio that we go. So if you cut out the court audio, then we're not going to be broadcasting anything. It won't be coming from our boom mic, but I wonder how you can control that. I mean, all it takes is one time of you forgetting which audio you're broadcasting from to screw it up, like catch a sensitive communication between the defendant." And she does have standby counsel that sat with her today and actually had a couple of things to say and help her with.
Yeah. She conferred with her a couple of times.
Yeah, she did. And then they had a little laugh about something. I'm going to have to remember what that was about, or what part of the, and it's in the back of my mind. When I get there in my notes, I'll know it for sure. Okay. So then we go on. The judge asks who will speak for the victims, and right now they have an appointed spokesperson for the victims. I believe that's just one right now. That's Kay Woodcock. So supposedly she's just, but I don't know exactly what that means. I mean, is that just during the what's that last phase after they declare guilt or innocence? There's the
mitigation phase.
Yeah, mitigation sentencing. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Kay will have anything mitigating to say, but that's just my gut instinct.
She'll give a witness impact statement since Charles was her brother.
So then, boy, this handwriting is sloppy. I can't even read my own handwriting. I'm going to have to transcribe these notes. Both parties say
the secretary. Y'all send in your resumes.
Right? Both parties say they will be ready on time. And then once they start, the state says their case in chief will probably take them 2 to 3 weeks to present their case.
Look, Trace says that she took that a little different. I'm curious as to what that was. Something that in the trial that you were talking about. Have you got? I don't know what she's talking about though.
I'll have to go back and look at that comment. Trace, let us know. Oh yeah, Trace. Somebody's phone rang in the middle of the hearing, and I'm not going to mention any names.
It was mine. Did you have my stream open?
It might have been the person that was sitting next to me.
Uh-oh, Trace.
Squeegee of Justice. It's so awesome to see you in here in my chat. She mentioned restraining orders. I thought she was going to talk about how Lori can speak to her witnesses. Oh, okay. Yeah, they talked about that a couple of times. And Lori can speak to her witnesses. Well, I think that, yeah. I'm going to have to go back.
They talked about restraining orders again, because I didn't recall, but I had to step away twice to go get a fresh coffee, so I might have missed something. But what about restraining orders?
Yeah, I missed that. I missed that too. But like I said, I was scrambling to stay up with my notes.
But I watched the hearing, and I don't remember.
yeah, I am
I'll have to
definitely
go
going to
back
have
and
to go
take a
back
look
and
at that
rewatch
as
it.
well.
Yep.
I don't know, because usually there's no contact orders with the victims. That's usually a standard thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. To go back and look at that too.
All right. So here's page 2. The bottom of page 1 said jury selection will be in a larger courtroom in the South Tower. But the actual trial is going to be in this courtroom, in Judge Beresky's courtroom 1104. And I counted 27 or 28 seats. The left side, which is behind the defense, has 4 across, 3 deep. So that's 12. And then the right side behind the prosecution is 5 wide, 3 deep. So that's 15 plus 12 is 27. And then there are kind of a couple throw-ins. There's one in the back row between the left side and the right side. And then I think there was one thrown in on the right end of one of the sides on the right. So it may be as many as 30. Lauren from Hidden True Crime, she said she counted 36. I don't think it's 36. Either way,
Y'all had a big difference in the numbers there.
30 to 36. I just did
Or was it
multiplication math.
5 or 10 extra seats here? Well, that's it's still a
Either
small
way, it's
courtroom.
way smaller than Delphi, and we know what happened in Delphi with people camping out in the cold, some of them overnight, some of them standing in the cold for 4 to 5 hours.
The difference is if the judge approves a pool camera, or if he already
That's
has, then
true. That's
we're gonna
true.
get to sit at home and watch it from the comfort of our home, versus having to get in a line at that, but hours before daylight, hoping to get in there and get a seat, and having to be forced to take all these strenuous notes to try to get the information out. That's the difference. So hopefully they keep the camera, because I'm not trying to sit up all night listening to audio from another one of Lori's trials. I mean, I will, but we'll stream it, but I'm not trying to.
Well, the judge did specifically say, I am inclined to grant 1 court camera.
Yeah.
So with some kind of a delay, 1 or 2 minutes, 10 minutes, who knows? He's gonna make a ruling on that. He'll figure it out. Maybe he'll go have lunch with CourtTV guy that was there today. I don't know.
I don't think he feels like there's any just reason to there's no just cause to deny the cameras. I really don't know what was behind Idaho deciding to let her have her way there, but at least we got the audio feed. We didn't even get that with Delphi. So at least there's something, so you don't got to go
Trace,
camp out, and get in there, because it won't be like that.
Trace, now I'm going to have to go back there and count each one individually myself.
You shouldn't have told him that, Trace.
We're going to have a counting contest.
Yeah, we are.
So then we get into the juror questionnaire. They're going to send out 200 initially. They're going to bring in 200 people initially. 24 to 27. I don't have any idea what I wrote on that. 24 to 27.
Wow, awesome, Joe. You got a shout out from Trial TV with a super chat coming in. Super sticker, whatever that's called. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Boom. That's very generous of you. Very generous. Thank you.
You deserve it.
I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time admitting
well,
I'm worthy of that. But it will be put to good use because I'm going to continue to cover this trial.
Oh, yeah.
24 to 27. We'll get back to that, or I'll just put a scratch through it. Okay, so March 31st to April 1st, we'll be reviewing the juror questionnaires and eliminating potential jurors just based on the questionnaires. They will meet on March 31st to begin going through those questionnaires. So I'm not sure I'm going to attend that because I don't know if it's going to be televised. I don't know if it's even going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But depending on how fast they get through the juror questionnaires, then they will begin actually bringing jurors in probably on April 1st. which is so ironic. So ironic. April Fool's Day. Can she fool any of them? And then a couple more days after that, maybe the second, the third, if they need to bring in additional jurors. So they need a 12 plus 4 alternates, 16 jurors total approved. He said it could be 3 or 4 alternates, so we may get there at 15. Like if they get to the end of the first 200 or the second 200 and they're like 12 plus 3, judge will probably be like, all right, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. So are you familiar with one of the questions that the judge wants to have on there? Are you familiar with the defendant? And have you formed an opinion about the defendant in this case? And Lori said, she didn't say the words two-edged sword. I'm summarizing what she said. She said that can go both ways because some jurors will lie about whether how familiar they are with it and whether or not they formed an opinion just to get on the jury. And the judge said, well, yeah, he goes, but studies show that most jurors will answer that honestly. He goes, but he also said that they're going to hear your name anyway at some point in the jury selection process. So he goes, let's just get out in front of it. Let's just tell them who this is about because they're going to find out eventually anyway.
Yeah, and it's kind of important to know if you know that name because the names have been out there so much because we've already had one trial and conviction, right? So it's a little different with Lori because it's not like it's her first time ever going on trial for anything. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of publicity out there ahead of her already.
So then Lori says, I want to individually voir dire the jurors because when you voir dire them in a group, then sometimes they could learn things from other jurors as they're going along. Like they will repeat some of the same answers that jurors before them have. I'm not sure the logic of that argument. Her prior one was better. But she said she mentioned that the fact that in her last trial, they went through 1,900 potential jurors to get to her 16 in Idaho. 1,900. Good grief. Then the state was asked, will you have sensitive evidence? Sorry, my handwriting is so horrible. Will you have sensitive evidence? And this is related to the jury selection because the judge said we will have to ask the jurors if viewing sensitive evidence, sensitive exhibits is, do you have a problem with that? Are you okay with that? And the state said, yes, we will have some sensitive exhibits and evidence to present. So judge said, okay, we will include that question in the juror questionnaire then. Like I said, March 31st, there won't be any jurors present. That's when they'll start going through the answers to the questionnaire. Then we start getting into the evidence. Right, Trial TV, the jury will be 32 years long. Yep. If you have to individually voir dire 1,900 jurors, oh, good grief. And she's the one that filed a speedy trial dismissal motion back in January, and I think maybe another one in February. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. I just realized I didn't have live chat on in my YouTube side channel over here. So don't forget to turn on live chat. So we start getting into the evidence now. And the judge asked Lori to speak on if she has anything to say on that. She says she is missing emails from the state and the state is hiding something. She said specifically, I have like 6 emails, and the very last one of those emails is something that is attempting to elicit a response from somebody else that's in the email chain. And she said that email doesn't show up. That should be a response to the last email she got. So she says, I'm missing emails and the state's hiding something. The judge asks the state, have you provided her with everything? And the state says yes. And that'll come up again in a minute. State says, we don't have any additional emails to send to her. Oh, wrong way. 1, 2. Oh, that's my thumbnail. Close your eyes. Where are my other pages at? 5, 4, 3. Oh, they're not in order. That's awesome.
Joe. Oh, goodness.
Okay, there's my notes. All right, we're page 3 now. And I said earlier when I was talking to you, I had 8 pages. I don't have 8 pages. I'm kind of relieved I don't have 8 pages. I have 5. Exactly 5. Then Lori says that she is missing an interview video from the Chandler PD. 3 interview videos of Lori, Tylee, and Melanie Gibb. She did receive 4 body-worn camera videos of about 12 minutes long each, but the camera for the interrogation room is missing, and I think that's verbatim. And she describes a camera that's up in the corner of the interview room that's recording these interviews that are about 2 hours long. I should probably put that in my notes too. So this is kind of a lengthy back and forth between the judge asking her for more details and the judge asking the state for more details. And the state says there's no video of that. We don't know what she's talking about.
Well,
and then
it's out there, but I guess she doesn't have it in her. She's saying she doesn't have it in her discovery.
Right. Well, she mentioned that one of her helpers, gosh darn it, I wish I'd have written that word down. There's a specific legal term for somebody that's helping her, that's that provided her with that information, that video is out there. The video is out there. And Salty, you found it?
Yeah, I have it. I sent it to you.
How long is that video?
It was, according to her, it was a 2-hour interview.
Right.
But you have to look at the link I sent you and see if you can determine exactly how long it is. I can't remember. But
I think we'll probably have to. Yeah, I think we'll probably have to check into that more and bring that up on a live,
like
down the road
in the near future while it's on our minds. Maybe tomorrow. But I did find it. I was researching it while we were doing the live when it was talked about in the court hearing.
So then the judge looks over to the state. So the judge asks the state, did you provide this to her? And the main prosecutor, who's sitting there in court today by herself at the prosecutor's table, says, yeah, we gave that to her. So the judge says, well, Ms. State Paralegal, can you look that up real quick and tell me when you provided that to her? And we wait for a few seconds, and the paralegal comes on and says, I can't find any record of us having provided that to her. And the judge says, well, that would probably be something that you should have provided to her in discovery. So yeah, that's kind of one of the bigger deals in this to me, is the state actually did miss something in discovery that Lori claims that they missed in discovery. So I'm kind of wondering if the earlier claim where the state's like, we've given her everything type of thing, I question that a little bit, if maybe that's true. Like maybe they haven't given her everything in discovery. I think that providing go ahead.
Well, keep in mind that she also knows how them not turning over discovery benefits her, because she found that out in Idaho. Remember, the prosecution was sanctioned in her Idaho case
Yep.
for failure to turn over discovery. So if she can get away with that over here, she's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally don't think it changes her guilt or innocence either way, but it can be a sticky legal matter to navigate for the state if they truly
exactly.
did fail to provide discovery.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And it's just interesting to me that in the prior talk about the emails, the judge just accepted the state's response and was like, okay, you say you don't have it, you must not have it. And I think he said something about members of the court, which being the prosecutor is a member of the court. You know, if they say something, then we kind of have to rely on what they're saying. And finding out later that they didn't provide something kind of makes that a little less certain, I think. Moonchild, good to see you in here. Then we get into the Alex Cox hearsay. And y'all should be paying attention to what Trace on the case is saying in chat too, because there's two of us sitting side by side. Well, kind of. I mean, there's one seat in between us, but basically looking and seeing the same things back and forth between the state. And I'm trying to take notes. So if she has something to say to clarify or correct something that I got wrong, absolutely make sure you're paying attention to what she's saying. Then we get into the hearsay motion, and I couldn't quite figure out what Lori was trying to accomplish with her hearsay motion about Alex Cox's testimony. So it revolves around his testimony on the body-worn camera in the minutes after he shot Charles Vallow, and then the police arrived. They have their body-worn camera on, and there's some interaction between Alex Cox and the law enforcement officers that arrived. But then they take him down to the station and they interview him again, and we aired that on a live not too long ago, where we can see the back of his head with that little trickle of blood coming down from a little cut that doesn't look like a former minor league baseball player swinging a bat at the back of your head might have caused. And they drill through some very specific legal, and she cites the specific ones, and I think we actually went over them on another live a few days ago, but I didn't have them here in my head to write down in my notes, and I didn't feel like writing down all those numbers of which rule was what, but they're different concepts that qualify or disqualify something as hearsay. So it's disqualified as hearsay. But before we get into those specific bullet points, just when Lori says Alex Cox's testimony, certain portions of Alex's testimony is not hearsay. She said some of it is hearsay. I'm not asking to keep in the stuff that actually is hearsay, but she goes, some of it is. And then she cites a legal principle, and the judge asks her, are you saying what he said isn't true? And she literally said, she hesitated for a second. She said, I can't say. That struck me in the moment. Are you saying what he said isn't true? I can't say. Really? You don't know if what he said is true or not? It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, Joe. I don't mean to leave you. I'm preparing. I'm cooking dinner while I'm listening. I had to come. My friend was getting a little. What do you call? What's a good word I can describe it when Joe gets that way? I'll come up with something.
Oh, Miss Shorty's in the chat.
Welcome in, Miss Shorty.
Don't Dox Me's in here.
I love this. I love that name. Don't dox me. I love it.
Janelle's in here too. Welcome in, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for coming in. Make sure you hit that like button, please.
We're going through my sloppy court notes from today, where I had anxiety that was causing my hand to shake a little bit. Plus, I was also trying to write really fast and keep up with everything and all the back and forth. And I didn't succeed fully in either one, but hopefully I got enough that we get an idea of more than just what we can see in the Court TV video. I mean, obviously, I missed some stuff that I'm going to have to go back and watch the video and pick up, but I think I saw some and caught some other things that were kind of important. So then there's a present sense impression argument where one of those sub exceptions to the hearsay rule is a present sense impression. And the judge asks her, so he said this while he was in the act? Because that's what present sense impression means, is that you say something while it is going on. That is quote unquote present sense. Not 10 seconds after, not 2 minutes after, not 5 minutes after, not 10 minutes after. It's when whatever is going on and you utter it.
Yeah, and she brought up what also the excited utterance, which is that
Yep.
how, because I kept saying it wrong in my stream earlier, and that was just brought up in the Koberger filings, remember?
Yep. Yes, and that's actually the very next line in my notes. You must have ESPN.
I do, and I stay at Holiday Inns.
So judge tells her that excited utterance only qualifies if it comes immediately after the act. So there's present sense and then there's immediately after. And he goes, can you tell me what immediately is? Is it 5 seconds? Is it 5 minutes? And I'm just quoting numbers out here. These aren't the exact numbers, and I didn't write them down, and I don't care. But he's saying, like, how long after the act is quote unquote immediately? And he says, did he utter? How soon after the act did the police department arrive and start filming with their body cams? Were these words that Alex spoke on the body worn cams? What is it? What is that time lapse in there from the actual act and when he says them on the body worn cams? And she says, I don't know. I wasn't there. Isn't that convenient?
It's like a 2-hour gap.
Is it really?
Yeah, so from the judge's standpoint, so I think it was stated earlier that 8 a.m. to then you go to 10 p.m. So I'm going to go back and review that. But what he was getting at was if there would have been a time lapse, right? That would have given Alex or anybody in that situation time. Like, say the 911 call in Idaho came within minutes of them finding their victims. If you have a case where they find victims and then an hour to 2 hours goes by, they have now had time to think of a story, change their story, come up with a story. So that makes a difference, because I was paying attention during that testimony with the judge. You know what I mean?
Okay. So, and in the end, he said, we're going to have to take those. So he made rulings on the other ones, like present sense. He just said, we're denying all that. There's no present sense here. And she actually said, okay. She acknowledged that's not a valid a reason for saying that it's an exception to hearsay. And then the next one is recorded recollection. And I couldn't really follow this one all that well. So I'm going to have to go back and watch the video. Which way am I supposed to turn now? To the left or to the right? There's 4. There's 3. 5. 1, 2. Okay, we're going to 4. There we go. 3 to 4. I swear I can count. Now my handwriting is getting a little bit better, just a little bit. So I think maybe I've calmed down a little bit. So then the judge asked what the state is going to present in their case as far as the Alex Cox testimony. In other words, he's trying to say, well, hearsay exception. I'm trying to figure out if Lori's trying to present Alex's videos as evidence or if the state is. Well, the state's going to have some of it. They say right here, top line.
Yeah.
They may or may not use the body worn cam, but they're definitely not going to use the police in interview in the interrogation room, in the interview room. Definitely not going to use that. And they're not going to use any of Tylee's vids because Tylee is not there to testify in person because of the actions of the defendant. And that's a pretty sobering statement. And she's already been found guilty of it, so it's not even debatable. Judge makes a ruling. He says likely Alex's interview in the interview room is likely out, and they will take the body worn cam statements statement by statement. So they're going to have to figure that out, and I don't know what he means by like how do you figure it out statement by statement? Like if they present it as evidence, does one side or the other object to that particular statement being in there? Or are they going to have to like go over those body worn cams together and say, okay, I object to this and I object to that, like outside of the presence of the jury? I'm kind of wondering how logistically they're going to navigate that legal decision statement by statement from body worn cams. Then the state says they have requested fingerprints, palm prints, footprints, photographs of the defendant. And this is for, I can't believe I didn't write this phrase down. This is for something that has to do with possible guilt of other charges. Like this isn't related to this case. This is related to them maybe investigating other crimes that she may have committed, is the way that I interpreted it. Then that's the state's request. Then he asked Lori, do you have any experts? Oh, do you have any additional things that haven't been disclosed yet or something like that? And she says, I'm going to call one expert witness, Lonnie Dworkin. And I have no idea how that's spelled. So I'm sorry, Lonnie, if that's a misspelling. Supposedly, he's a fairly well-known cell phone and digital evidence expert. I think her investigator is already on her witness list, so that's not a new one, but he is another one of her experts. Yeah, the judge says, are you calling any experts? And she says, yes, Lonnie Dworkin. He says, have you disclosed that to the state? And the state says, no, we have no knowledge of this guy. And the judge says, well, that's a problem because the rules of notification on that means you should have given the state the expert witnesses reports, statements, and probably a CV at least 30 days before trial. And we're way closer than 30 days before trial starts, depending on, how long jury selection takes. So he basically said, we're going to have to review that later. And we'll decide then. And depending on what the state's argument is against it, right? The state probably will have something to say about that. We weren't given notice. His evidence should be out, period. Like before he even gets off the ground, we're going to clip his wings. All right, page 5. This is the last page. So if you see down here in the lower left corner, it says continued on that side. I ran out of paper, and all of these sheets have 2 sides to them, but I don't like writing on the back because it can bleed through. So we got to the end of this, and there was one more question. I'm like, oh, crap, I got to find somewhere to write more notes. So I go continued over here, and they're like, oh, nope, hearing's over. So there isn't actually a continued from page 5. I was just worried that there was going to be one. All right, so now we get into the combined trial arguments. And this is also one of the most interesting back and forths for me. Oh, and it's because they're talking about the motion. She filed motion to dismiss based on, so he's kind of winding down. Judge Beresky's kind of winding it down. And in like a little interlude of silence, she just leans forward in the microphone and she goes, "I'd just like to remind the court that if the second trial doesn't happen by May 11th, it will be a violation of my right to a speedy trial." So then we get into a discussion about that. And she says, they didn't combine my trials. They could have, but they didn't. And so my speedy trial rights were violated. If it's not done, if I'm not tried by May 11th. Judge says the combined trials are not in your favor, girl. Like, combined trials will prejudice the jury because they will hear evidence of crimes, of two different sets of crimes. You know, the conspiracy to murder Charles and the conspiracy in the second case. Why does my mind always go blank with her niece's husband's name? Boudreaux.
Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon Boudreaux. My name always goes blank. So that's the second one that she wants wrapped up by 11th, is the conspiracy to commit murder, first degree felony murder of Brandon Boudreaux. Judge says that prejudices the jury, and the state jumps in and says, well, if she really wants to, we can combine them. I mean, I'll probably need a little extra time to prepare to have a combined trial. And then Lori goes, well, that's not what I was saying. We just need to have that second trial by May 11th. And then she gets a little snarky and she goes, the court can just figure it out. I'm like, Judge Beresky is so patient. Like, if I sent some judges out there with an attitude, would have been like, lady, we're going to have a little discussion about your attitude. But he hasn't ever really had an attitude with her. He's been very factual, very legal, very matter of fact. I mean, he's a really good judge. I like him a lot.
Well, he's got to treat her like a defense attorney at this, and not just a defendant. But the takeaway about that whole thing was the severing of the cases for me, which they're right. It would prejudice the jury because they're going to hear things about the one case that's going to pertain to the second, which, if she's convicted here, that kind of thing. So, but her saying, because I don't know if it's true, but this is what she said in court, was all the discovery was given to her is that they were one combined case versus two separate cases. If they've severed the cases like that, which they have, that discovery needs to be in two different cases, not lumped into one.
Miss Shorty, thank you for that.
They need to correct that. Oh,
Ms.
look
Shorty,
at there,
thank you for that
nice.
super sticker. Thank you so much. You're so generous. That's going to buy you some more trial coverage on this case. It's going to be put to good use. I promise. Yeah, the severing the cases in this to me was a pretty big deal, and her getting snarky with the judge. Well, I don't want to combine them, but the court can just figure it out. Oh, and that was another issue where she said it needs to start by the 11th, and the judge said, no, we've had some extra time that we can push that back a little bit, and because you can't have two trials running at the same time. That's how the whole severed and combined trials issue came up, was because the judge said, you can't have two trials at the same time. So that May 11th number is not a good number. I can maybe come up with another one, but we're definitely going to push it back because you can't have two trials at the same time. So
Right.
does that number go back by the length of her first trial? Like if this lasts 5 weeks, does that May 11th number get pushed out 5 weeks?
Well, the prosecutor, they usually tell the judge how long they anticipate trial to be. And
Right.
every case is different. So, and I forget what they were saying, 2 to 3 weeks earlier. Was
Yeah.
that for Charles's case, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Trial TV, she did put both numbers on there on several of her motions and on her latest disclosure of additional witnesses. Yeah, she has both case numbers on there, but she also made a good point. Oh shoot, where that thought just fled my brain as fast as I had it.
Oh, she had both of her case numbers on there, Trial TV. That's crazy. Yeah, there's going to be a lot she's learning you can't do, right? Things you can do.
She did. Okay, there it is. Thought just came back. She said on her indictments that they used evidence from both cases in both of her indictments. So she should be allowed. Yeah, that was an argument that it gave me pause to think about a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to read those indictments really well, both of them, but facts from one can be facts from another. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
certainly can. Yeah.
So judge said May 12th, we can start the second trial, but he's probably not going to be able to conduct it because he's moving on to another position like the end of June or in July. And he's got to have some training in June. So he can't dedicate all of his time to a trial in June. So that's probably going to be picked up by another judge. It'll be interesting to see how he interacts with her.
Yeah.
Or she.
Oh, Lori can't bat them eyes at a lady lawyer or lady judge. I don't think she can a man judge either. Like that don't work in the. If a judge falls for that, I gotta wonder, is he out of Kentucky? Just leave it at that.
God.
I went there.
No, you didn't. Oh no,
I
you
did.
didn't.
I've got some man. I'm following that case still, and I've got to do a show on it. Some interesting things are happening. So,
where's that? We got to show that Friday night, Miss Shorty. Friday night. Looking
Friday
forward
night.
to it.
What do you and Miss Shorty got going on Friday night?
We're going to be over on her channel Friday night to talk about all this craziness.
Oh goodness.
Maybe a little bit about the LDS Church, Mormon Church.
Yeah. Awesome. You going to be on Miss Shorty's channel doing that?
Yes, correct.
I need to get the computer and drop her link. Can we get her link in the chat? I'm outside. I'll go into the computer and get it in a minute.
Yeah. So we're about to the end.
Yeah, Trial TV. I'll get you that link in just a second. Let me walk into my PC now. Okay. Y'all give me a sec.
All right. So the state says, absolutely, we can combine it. And Lori's like, oh, no, that's not what I was saying. That's not what I was saying.
This lady next to me said that's not a good idea. Pretty much how that went.
So Lori said, well, if we're going to start the trial on May 12th, we might as well go ahead and send out subpoenas now, which is interesting because Nate Eaton is on her list of witnesses. Nate Eaton from East Idaho News, who I like a lot and have a lot of respect for. I know there are people that think that he has an LDS tilt towards him and he'll ignore some of the Mormon aspect to the case, but I don't necessarily feel that same way, but I'm open to being, somewhat critical of him. If that's his slant, that's his slant, but he's done some damn fine work especially in the Idaho case, but just tracking down Lori and Chad beside the pool in Hawaii was freaking awesome. Really freaking awesome. All right, Forrest has Miss Shorty's YouTube channel up there.
Thank you, because I was just got to the PC and was having a technical difficulty, but I think I got it fixed now. Thank you.
Yeah, I love Miss Shorty. She has so much positive energy, so much love for life, zest for life, just like hanging and chilling, listen to music sometimes, but always bringing good interviews. She interviewed Joe Tacopina the other week, like about a week or so ago, Miss Shorty. I lose track of time, but that was a good interview, and it was a good interview for me because I'm not necessarily a fan of his, but I saw him in a different light in that interview. I saw him a lot more personable and became a lot less judgy of him. Anyway, side note, bunny trail, not a rabbit hole, a bunny trail, just kind of coming back to the main path now. Lori says we can send out the subpoenas now, but Nate told me today. So Nate walks in shortly after me and Trace, and they've, go in the seats behind us, turn around, and I did what I said I was going to do. I said, Nate, are you sure you're supposed to be here because you're a potential defense witness? He kind of got a silly grin, and he goes, I don't have a subpoena. He goes, I haven't got a subpoena yet.
I heard that on Twitter this morning that someone let Nate know that he was on that list. And he's like, well, I haven't heard a thing.
Yeah, that was Justin Lum, who actually sat next to him in court today. Justin Lum from Fox 10, who is actually a regional Emmy Award winner.
Well, he must have put that on Twitter because that's where I saw it at. Yep.
But I actually said that to Nate. It's like I said it in my head like 5 times, just imagining, hey, I might meet Nate. What am I going to say to him? That's what I'm going to say to him. I'm such a smart ass, and sometimes I'm a dumbass. Can't help it. I'm a man. All right. So we're setting dates now. Lori says send out the subpoenas now, which is ironic to me because she hasn't subpoenaed Nate yet. March 18th. So they're talking about a status hearing next week. And the judge says, well, we don't necessarily need to do fingerprints at one of those things. But we will. We'll do them March 18th. They're going to do the fingerprints, photographs. They're not going to record them. Who wants to record that? And then judge says by March 18th, we better have some answers on whether or not Lonnie Dorkin has been stopped writing because they went to something else. But Lonnie Dorkin has the information has been provided to the state from the defense, basically. The state mentions 2 motions from January and February that they don't think have been addressed. And the judge looks in his notes and he says, yes, I did address those. I ruled on those. Anything further from the state? And the state says, okay, nothing more than those were the only 2 like housekeeping things. And then Lori says, I have a housekeeping thing. How will I be dressed? And I understand that actually, I'm not 100% sure she asked how she would be dressed. She says she opened it by saying, I understand that the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has to have some security measures on me. So I think she's particularly talking about leg shackles, probably. Mm-hmm. Handcuffs weren't mentioned. And right now I'm just thinking to the Sarah Boone case, because this was a big deal in the Sarah Boone case. Like, how will she be dressed? Will she have to have handcuffs on? Will she be shackled? Will her shackles be hidden from the jury? All of that stuff. That was in the Sarah Boone case, and they didn't get into nearly that much detail in this little back and forth. And I'm kind of surprised she didn't. except maybe she was in jail without access to a TV, so she couldn't watch the Sarah Boone trial. Maybe, because they have some similarities. They have some similarities, not just the cases, but some other things. So she says, will I be able to get up and walk around the courtroom? Will I just be stuck here at the defense table? Will I be able to go to the podium? So the judge says, you can be at the defense table and you can be at the podium. And if you have any exhibits to hand to a witness, then you will have to have your backup counsel go take it to the witness. And she says, well, can I have my paralegal do it? And he goes, I'd really rather not. I'd really have your backup counsel be the one that does that. He goes, it won't be that hard. We'll have all the exhibits in a certain spot that's really close to the podium, so it won't be that hard to do. So that's it. That's it. And then we're adjourned.
It was an interesting hearing. I'm just focused on paying attention to her legal arguments and what they, will she have any? You know what I mean? Is there anything? Like, I don't, because it doesn't take away from her guilt or innocence in my eyes. It doesn't. But I come at these cases also from the legal standpoint, because I know the defenses in so many cases do so many different things. It's just going to be curious to see how hers moves going forward, with her being her own attorney and the different things that she might try versus what she can really get away. That's real versus what she's making up, to see if it sticks to the wall kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. And a very state by state too. So it'll be interesting to see what the differences are between Idaho and Arizona. And of course, we know that there's one common thread that runs through all of those, and that's Mormonism, cultism, offshoots of the Mormon Church. I think last time I was on with Kresha, we talked about how, or maybe it was on my live. I get them so confused. But anyway, how when you have a church like the LDS Church that has you suspend belief about certain things, suspend disbelief. I think that's the correct phrase. I got it. Suspend disbelief about certain things, then it can lead to some crazy culty things going on. Right? Like if you can suspend disbelief about one thing, what else can you suspend disbelief about? So here's that the latest motion we got, and this isn't the only one that Lori has prepared. And I'm thinking her paralegal is preparing these now, because is this the one where she says Ms. Daybell? No, this isn't the Ms. Daybell. Oh yeah, it is right here. C, disclosure remains ongoing. Ms. Daybell will supplement as necessary as this information becomes known to Ms. Daybell. So she says Ms. instead of Mrs. Whereas when she was on the interview, in the Dateline interview, he asked about Chad, and she goes, oh, you mean my husband? So she's still dedicated to him. She continued to go through the name change process to take on his name. But anyway, the trial TV point, she has both of her cases there. The 2021 case is the one we're trying now, and the 2022 case is the one that she says may be violating her right to a speedy trial. So that was it for the hearing. And then we went downstairs, went out in front of the courthouse, and I tried to go live, and I couldn't go live due to technical difficulties. Forrest, can you put a link to Kresha's channel in here? Difficult Research. I'm going on live later with Kresha from Difficult Research. We're going to continue our series on the Glenn Pace memo. Trial TV, I couldn't log into my StreamYard account on my phone. My phone had cleared out my password, my login and password on that, and I couldn't for the life of me remember what it was. Like, I have so many logins and passwords to so many different apps and sites that I can't remember it off the top of my head. And I tried like 5-6 times, and I will get it figured out before the next one. I promise you I'll get it figured out. I'll have it ready to go. I'll have it all loaded up, and I'll catch it next time. Thank you, Forrest. I appreciate that. I'll have it ready to go next time. I'll go live right after the hearing on the 18th. I don't know if I want to be there at 8:15 to watch her bio data being accumulated, but I probably will have to be. So anyway, Lauren from Hidden True Crime is live right behind me, like right over my left shoulder, and she's got it figured out. He is going good. But after I also couldn't restream on your channel, Salty, that also went wrong. My phone crashed out twice on that. So I gave up on the live at the courthouse. But Trace and her daughter were there talking to Lauren's producer while Lauren is doing the live stream. And they had a good conversation. And then Lauren came over and talked to us. And we all went out to lunch together.
You went? No, you didn't.
Yes, we did.
You said you and her make up now?
We did.
Sorry,
Actually,
we're good now.
we are good. She apologized to me, and she said I can use her content anytime I want. And I got her phone number to ask her to make sure it's okay. She said I can be critical of her. That's fine. She says she's not immune to criticism. She wants to be a better reporter. So
yeah, I'm glad you guys were able to have that talk and clear the air, because I've said it, I've always watched Lauren's content before Delphi. I've watched all of her content on the Lori Vallow, and it's good stuff. I have to give her prompts because she took this case on in a way nobody else would. And that always got me. And I've watched a lot of her content about Lori Daybell. And she got really close to Kay and Larry as well, through the process. And so I'm glad you guys were able to chat and clear the air. So that's always a good thing.
And we had really, really good, authentic Mexican food. Trace
Did you?
Took us to one of her favorite spots, and it was really good. Really, really good.
Nice.
And then as we left, I gave Lauren a hug, and we're all good now.
Oh, dang. I'm proud of you, Joe. You made progress.
Yeah.
So now if I'm into another interview with Lauren's channel, you're going to be like, do I have to?
I'm good with it. She actually kind of reminds me a little bit, now that I've got to know her on a personal level, she reminds me a little bit of my sister-in-law, who is LDS and lives in Salt Lake City and is an amazing, sweet person. So I got some of those vibes from her today, and I appreciated that. Oh yeah, this place in Phoenix, Carolinas, has award-winning tortillas. So when you get like a burrito or something, it just like melts in your mouth. It's just like super good, and their salsa is good. Yes, Trace, thank you. We do need to send thoughts and prayers to Lauren. Her brother passed away. I don't know any of the details, but
oh no, that's not good. Yeah.
She almost canceled her trip, but she said she already had the tickets. So she went ahead and went along with the trip.
Well, we'll send good vibes her way.
Absolutely. So that's it. That's it for this trip.
Well, nice job, Joe Schmoe.
I'll get it better next time. I'll get that live down. And yes, Miss Shorty, I do need to make a practice run. I also have body worn cam that I haven't even used yet, and I need to do a practice run with that because I'm going to need that sometime in the future. Yeah,
you had that when you went to Lady Bird Lake, and we didn't even get to see it. I mean, you didn't
Did I?
use it while you were there. You said you told me you didn't take it and use it, but after the fact, you mentioned you had it. So did you get it after Lady Bird Lake or before?
I think I did. I think I did after. I think I
Okay.
did.
It's like, 'cause
Yeah.
you needed it that night with that weirdo approaching you and everything. And I'm like, hurry up and get to your
Yes.
hotel room.
Yes. With the
Joe's
two weirdos.
dangerous when he goes boots on the ground. He gets into some stuff. Good Lord.
Yeah, today wasn't that weird.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Janelle. Did you really? Cafe Rio, is that like a local Mexican place or is that a chain? Kind of sounds like a chain name, but I don't know. Okay. There you go. You're welcome to come up anytime, Janelle, and talk about the weather or whatever is in the news. All right, we're going to wrap this up today. I've got to go get ready for my live with Kresha tonight. We're going to continue going down the Glenn Pace memo and checking out Kresha filling us in, I guess is the right way to do it, on her research on ritualistic abuse in the church. So she has done so much research and we can only take chunks of that like a couple hours at a time. So
Yeah. It gets
so we're
heavy.
going to keep, yes, it is. And we're going to keep taking bites of it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And this is definitely, that's going to be 8:00 Central or 8:00 Eastern, 7:00 Central on my channel. And then also Difficult Research co-streams it on her channel as well. Appreciate you, Miss Shorty. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the super stickers and the super chats. I really appreciate those. You guys are so generous and kind. And we'll do more on this case in the near future because we need to check out that video that Salty found.
Yeah.
We need to check that out.
You guys have a great evening, and I will probably see you again later on the live that they have up later. So I'm going to go eat my dinner and get ready for all that.
All right. Catch y'all later, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon, my lovely friends. Have a good afternoon. Don't forget to stop back by and see me real soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we